paint some garden leaves and plants today, and a lot of this stuff can be used to add to your paintings and pictures as background. So I'm going to show you some different leaves, vines, and other plant techniques, the basic techniques. First of all, I'm going to dip my brush into some green, and I'm going to go ahead toward the bottom of my page, and I'm going to start off doing some grass type plants. So anywhere you need a grass or a filler, you can start off by doing this. And I'm using the smallest round brush, loading the brush really well, and I'm holding my brush straight up like a soldier. And this is going to be pointing toward your ceiling. So it's very, very straight and upright. And I'm going to start at the bottom where I want my blades to start, and then I'm going to go in a quick motion and flick off to one side, either the left or the right. So press, go quick, and then gently lift up and pull away. You should have a blade that goes from thicker to very skinny. And when you do your blades of grass, overlap and crisscross your grass blades. You never want to have just grass right in a row like that. That looks artificial and fake. So I go ahead and I do a crisscross. I start off next to the blade I started with, then I cross over and do one to the other side. And then I go from the middle of both of these and then make it shorter and curve off to the side. Continuing this similar patterning, fill up your area that you'd like to see your grass in. I also take and I bring my brush and put it into, or dip my brush into, other values of green. I don't just stick with the same value. So I go through this process and I do it fairly quickly, and every time I make a brush stroke, I dip back into the paint again. So this is just a simple grass technique. And you want to make some tall, some short, varying the heights. If you want to use some yellow, this looks great too, because then it forms a yellow-green color as it blends and mixes with the other greens. Just quickly fill in. And then if you put a little bit of blue-green, or actually turquoise, then you can place that in. I don't make it as tall though. The turquoise I make pretty short. And this is just a quick. You can even add browns at the base and bottom if you'd like to show dead grass, different stages of life of grass. But the important thing is to curve it either left or right, to overlap the grasses, keeping some short and some tall, so giving a lot of variation in color. So there you have, and variation in size. So there you have a little bit of grass area. To do a fern or a palm tree, start off with a, you can either start it off down below, coming off the side of your paper, bringing in, I'll do another one over here, coming from the top of the page, say if it's a jungle. And this could be a fern type plant. If it's a fern, start up from the top or the bottom and go down. So if it's a fern type plant, you want to go ahead and keep the tip really thin, and then get small, 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 and a little bit larger, and I'm just pressing, pulling toward the center. Press, pull toward the center. Load up the brush, and I'm putting it on the edges of each side of that plant. I can then go back, and I'm just wiping my brush. I can then go back and put some yellow on top to blend, going down each side. I can give some darker value, and I always pick just one side for the darker value, and I go underneath, right here, each one, and that just blends the colors nicely. If these are going to be palm trees or some type of a plant that's like a palm tree, keep your end very thin, right here, and then get smaller, similar to this. Press, pull, press with the brush, pull, so that it gives a little bit of a point on the outside. I'm going to go into the yellow first, then I'm going into the green. Press, pull, press, pull, press, pull. And then I got a little two-tone going on here, which is quite beautiful. So I can have, and now I don't necessarily have to do both sides of that fern. It could be the side view of that fern, or you can just do partial right here, just showing that it comes up but yet goes back down through this plant. So it's around the plant. If you want to do both sides, it's up to you. I'm dipping in green, and I've got some yellow, so it mixes and makes yellow-green. And so this becomes my, here's a two-sided palm, or fern, or a plant that's similar to that. There's many of them out there that are very similar to that. If it's actually a palm tree, then I can come off of this area and come down. So this is just some types of greenery that you can add to your pictures for your background, for your landscape, whether you're making a jungle, a garden. So here's your palms. If you're going to make, say, a stalk with some type of a leaf, you start with your stalk or stem, growing from the bottom. If it's a tree type thing, it's always much thicker as it hits the ground. Coming up, I can have it go right up. If you want to start giving depth, it can overlap your background here, say if those are in the background. And then I can branch out. If I'm going to make this a tree, I can branch out. I can add some browns to this for an older stalk. If it's just some type of a jungle plant, you can press in leaves just by pressing the brush. You can switch out and get a thicker brush. That'll give you a different pattern for leaves. This is just a flat brush here. I could press those leaves depending on the tree you're trying to create just by pressing. Vines, if you're going to do vines, I'm going to show you a vine in this dark blue just so that you can see it because I've got a lot going on here. Say your vine is up at the top here. It's a real thick jungle. It's kind of curving and curling. Keep on loading up that brush. Here's a vine going right across the page here. And then you can print that. Print the leaves of the vine right here. If you want to add color to your jungle by adding flowers and plants, you can do so. This is like a ginger plant, so it has longer, very similar to this, but just longer leaves coming out of a stalk. Again, I'm kind of blending my colors. And then at the top of that plant, you can go ahead and print in some flowers, but just by pressing your brush. I'm dipping in a light purple first, and then I'm going into a dark purple, and I'm just going to print and press and let the brush do all the work. This is just kind of like a stalk plant, like a ginger, coming up. And repeat it again. You know, you always want to repeat those, but this could be flowers. Just by pressing your brush a few times, you can get a really cool flower. You can also do, you know, little dabs in your vines for flowers as you go along. So it's just a few dabs of color. Two-tone it, give it two colors. And this is just some of the few ways that are quick and easy on how to decorate a background of your painting, whether it be a jungle, a garden, or just a landscape, to add greenery to your paintings.